Push a man, put your hand on my thigh. I need chills up and down my spine. Baby, can you get me high? Push a man, put your hand on my.
Hello there, this is Ron Wills, and this video I'm going to talk about the real reason women choose losers. You know, on the internet and in life, women too have had one big question. Why do women choose bad guys, bad boys, whatever? And I don't mean just like thugs or criminals, but why do women choose guys who are living in their parents' basement, guys who are chronically unemployed, guys who can't rub two nickels together? Meanwhile, you have a bunch of good, hardworking guys out here who got their own homes, they got cars, careers, and they're struggling. But I'm gonna break things down, and it's not really complicated, at least not from my point of view. Maybe from a lot of other men's point of view, but not from mine, because to me the reasoning is simple. See, first the thing to understand is that women have dual needs, dual sexual needs. And the main need that they have is that carnal need, that lust. That's that pure lust thing. They just want the dick. And then there's that social need. That's more or less where women are looking for somebody who conforms more to the social environment. That's where they're looking for that guy with the house, car, and all of that good stuff. One of the issues is that the man who can satisfy a woman's sexual needs are rarely the guys who can satisfy her social needs. So a lot of times the guys that they're going to choose are not necessarily guys that they want to take out with them or want to be seen with or have, two pennies to rub together. And, it sounds simple, but it really is. It really isn't that complicated. See, a lot of guys, they'll work hard, they'll get all of these resources and think, oh yeah, women should love me and all of that, and I got so much to offer. See, here's a problem with that. When a man is offering a woman resources, he's not really getting love from her. Really, what he's doing is trading his resources for her sex. So basically, a lot of women out here are what a mentor calls acculturated prostitutes when they're dealing with a man just for his money or his resources. I'll use the term sex trader. They have the sex, they had a coochie. And basically, instead of like a prostitute asking straight up for the money or the resources, what they're doing is, for the promise of sex, they trading, that coochie for somebody to take care of them, to spend money on them, buy gifts. It's all about the money. Now, see, here's the issue with that. If a woman is only dealing with a guy on that level, she really don't lust him. Because, and here's where it comes in, that, so many women will choose the quote-unquote loser, the bad boy, the dude who doesn't have anything materially going on with them. When she's choosing him, that's because for whatever reason, and it could be anything, it could be the man's looks, his body, his attitude, whatever. He reminds her of some dude, the dude who took her virginity. He might be running around with 10-inch dicks, whatever. That loser is appealing to her sexual needs, and it's not because of his personality or it's not because of his resources. That's where a lot of guys get the situation wrong. They think, well, she shouldn't want that guy. He can't do anything. It's like, no, he can break her back in the bedroom, and that's all he needs. See, the thing to understand with a woman's sexual need. Well, let me back up a bit. I think a big problem out here is that most men really don't understand a woman's sexual nature. And I've tried to explain it, in my blogs, some videos, my books. But a lot of men don't get that. They think as long as they work hard, they should get the pussy. And it really don't work that way. In fact, it's irrelevant. If a woman lusts a man, he don't need to have shit. He don't need to own anything. You want proof of this? Do an internet search on teachers having sex with their students. And I want people to think about this. What can a 17-year-old boy offer some 35-year-old married woman who got a house, probably a husband and all of that? Nothing but his dick. That's all he got. He's not going to have any deep conversation. He doesn't have future earnings. You know, half the time, most cases, she ain't going to leave her husband for dude, but she going to still have sex with him. And it's not just teachers. You know, you go in any neighborhood, all the mothers know there's that one woman who's scheming on their baby boy. They know, because women know each other. And and it's quiet as it's kept. You know, there's always a talk about like sexual molestation of young men molesting little girls. There's a lot of older women molesting little boys. You know, so where's the resources there? Where's the money there? No, it's about sex. And, you know, we call them losers and say, why they with that loser? It's like, no, something about that man turns the woman on. And when a man turns a woman on, he don't need to do shit but show up. Excuse my français. But that's all he needs to do is show up for whatever. You know, he just has to be there. And that's usually how the case is. He comes there, he comes through that back door, takes care of his business, and he leaves. You know. Or he might be, you know, she might be that older woman, need a grass cutter. Just tell him, hey, you come in, get some lemonade. Yeah, because you know the porn music come on about that time in a bad porno movie. It's like, y'all, let me stop cutting up. But, you know, a lot of men have to understand that. And I see men in message boards and videos and stuff. They're going crazy over this, and I'm like, dude, she just lusted. Now, the problem with a lot of this in a woman's eyes is that guy that she lusting, she can't take him anywhere. So a lot of women, many women will have two men. You know, they had that dude, I'll call him, you know, Mr. Goodbar, the good man, whatever, the backdoor brother, whatever you want to call him. She'll have that guy, but then she'll get that more, you know, socially appealing guy, the guy who actually want to pay the bills. You know, the guy that she can take out to public with and, you know, take to a church choir or something. Oh yeah, those church women, that's another video. But she'll keep both. Because one of the things, one of the reasons I wrote my books and the whole nice guys and players thing is that women want men who can be both. They want that man who's going to do the responsible thing, have the job, have the resources. You know, somebody they can take out with them to the church and to like Uncle and Junior and them's cookout. But they also want that dude who's going to knock it out the box. You know, have them levitating and speaking in tongues and whatnot. And that's what the bad boy, the thug loser, the crime, you know, that unemployed dude brings to the table. And I mean, I've actually known homeless dudes who, you know, they were able to take showers because they had some women having sex with them, often unprotected, which is another issue. And in fact, I'm going to tell you how deep that thing with the sex is. And this goes even beyond losers, because a guy doesn't have to be a loser just to be, you know, good at sex. There's a lot of dudes out there who got 9-to-5 jobs, careers, whatever, they're leaders, and they still knocking women out the box. The biggest issue is that there really, in a woman's eyes, aren't enough men who can do both. I mean, yeah, they exist, but, and, you know, part of the issue too is a lot of times a woman, you know, she might look at that, there's some, like I said, that loser, and I know I'm kind of going back to that, but, you know, there's so much to this. It really is. A lot of times they'll look at that, you know, hard-working guy, and something about him doesn't say he will knock her out the box. Something looks too straight-laced or whatever. Whereas that loser, he might be just appealing. He might just go straight for it, had nothing to lose, and just say, look, baby, I'll eat that box. Something. Some would do that. In fact, that's a game for some guys. You know, they'll inbox some woman and say, look, girl, look, I don't got nothing to offer, but I will eat that box. You know, I'll have you screaming. But in a lot of times, you know, women with their sexual needs, they're gonna go for it. So, oh man, yeah, I keep saying I ain't gonna do any long videos, but you know, just to wrap it up, that's it. When women go for losers, it's just about lust. It's just about sex, and sex don't got shit to do with how much money you got, unless you want some like prostitution, cultural prostitution shit. It don't got nothing to do with how big your house is, because when two people have sex, they just butt naked right wherever. And see, that's what, you know, when a woman dealing with that bad boy, that thug, that loser, that unemployed dude, she just dealing with him right there. Now, taking it further than that, that's where she might run into problems, because she can't take him anyway. So, you know, that's it. All I gotta say, I'm gonna get back to watching these basketball games. Peace.
Push 'em man, put your hand on my thigh. I need chills up and down my spine.